It's all about manufacturing and automation. And this is Gary Mintchell, Editor-in-Chief, Automation World Magazine, and here with another week and some observations this week on power and energy, which fits into sustainability and many other issues that I have recently been researching quite a bit about. Just really gratified with the feedback on my article that I actually put a lot of time on in our March issue on sustainability. And this really reflects a long history I've had in that business one way or another, either reporting or doing some stuff or trying to do some stuff. And we started out quite a while ago, and we're talking, power, energy. We could be electrical. Electrical is what I do best, but there's a lot of other things involved. And maybe 15 years ago or so, I was trying to sell, although I didn't really have a really good product portfolio, but we looked at different kinds of energy monitoring and electrical usage, and we looked at, and I had some customers who were pretty creative and were trying to come up with ways to, say, monitor electrical usage, figure out how to use it, maybe use it for some decision making in the plant. We were doing some things with a company that had an electric arc furnace that was like a huge user that they were on the radar for sure from the power company. And they needed to manage how they shot electricity into the furnace and didn't go over their demand and did a lot of stuff with demand and that sort of thing. But only the company with the electric arc furnace used enough electricity in that day, in the 90s, to really care about the cost of electricity. In those days, the cost was so low compared to other costs, and companies had so far to go in cutting costs that they didn't even look at that. And none of my customers around Western Ohio, although there were some in other places that were big users of gas, coal, and other kinds of energy sources, had been constantly looking at that. But once again, they had so many pressures in other places, so many ways they could cut costs, that a lot of this power and energy just didn't really get into their roadmap until maybe in the last 5 years or so. It's really been growing quite a bit. Along with that, a lot of the automation companies have been putting together product portfolios. So you have like ABB that put together a conglomerate, and within that conglomerate, they have a lot of automation and instrumentation and also a lot of power stuff. They have everything from variable frequency drives for AC motors to medium voltage stuff to huge transformers. They really deal in the electric grid a lot with some of their divisions. So they have huge transformers and other equipment that fits into all that. You have other companies like, for instance, Rockwell Automation, who has a different product portfolio, but they're still putting that together in variable frequency drives and other kinds of monitoring along with their controllers and so on. And a lot of things are coming together now from an automation and power side, and even smaller companies than the big systems companies have been putting together things with I/O, smaller control modules, and all kinds of networking and communications capabilities to compile data, take a look at the energy usage of various kinds, especially electrical, which is easier for automation people to tap into. But anything you can instrument, you can measure. If you can measure, you can control, right? And so this whole convergence of more ways to measure things, we can measure more different things. It's easier to compile it into a database, to communicate it, to get it out to other kinds of things that work. A lot of technologies and usages are coming together. Plus, now what we have, to a tremendous degree, are a lot of years of companies cutting costs. We've used automation to take labor out of the equation. We've been looking at design of the product, design of the process to try to milk cost reductions and do things more efficiently. And all of a sudden, the energy costs are starting to really be a significant part of the whole equation. Oh, and now we can do some stuff about it. This fits into the whole sustainability thing, which is another whole issue, because it's sustainability. We're looking at an even broader picture. We're looking at carbon capture. We don't have some of these things in the United States, but in Europe there's a number of regulations already on the books where you have to think about things like carbon usage and reducing emissions and all kinds of other things that fit in this whole arena. Same way, same thing, and therefore it's a broad topic. And some thinkers are really putting this together into thinking more broadly about how do we do manufacturing all the way. There's a phrase, I was just talking to a friend talking about cradle to cradle, from the cradle of the product until you go off and it actually becomes the cradle of a new product or something. Let's think about the whole life cycle of a product and how we make it, and the things that we use, the energy and other sources of that we use to make things. And let's think about the whole thing, and let's look at it as an efficiency, not just of one little process, but the efficiency of our whole manufacturing process from the time we begin to design the product until the time the consumer is done using it. And let's look at the big picture. And I see a lot of trends starting where manufacturers are starting to look at this big picture. And a part of this big picture is the ability to instrument, measure, control, and supply information about for decision making, all about our energy and power usage. There's just a tremendous amount of things we're starting to see that we're writing about. Cogeneration of electricity, where I have waste of a certain kind in my production process that normally I would have trucked off to a landfill or tried to pipe underground or get rid of somehow. And we can burn it. Hey, if we can burn it efficiently and generate electricity, then we reduce the amount of electricity we take off the grid, which reduces the amount of the power from the power company, who doesn't have to build a new generating station. You see how the snowball effect goes, and one thing leads to another. A lot of stuff going on there. We're writing stories about it. Automation World. I find stuff to blog about on my blog at GaryMinchellsFeedForward.com. And you can always check out AutomationWorld.com as we really try to do more in this whole area and reporting it. And we see lots of manufacturers really jumping on this bandwagon. You can find products from all manner of automation suppliers that take advantage of all this, and it's a really big area. I really see it as an area for the future, that as we think about manufacturing strategically, we think about not only cost but our entire system, and I think that's the future of manufacturing. And a key part of it is this whole thing about power, energy, automation, control, information. So we put it all together, and I think that's where we're at. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, and I'm interested in any other feedback and what you're getting on in this whole arena. But it's not just electricity. Electricity is easy. We have power. We can do a lot with that. But a lot of people are doing stuff with their gas input and their water. Water is another utility you use a tremendous amount of that you really need to keep an eye on for a lot of reasons, and it's getting to be costly. And there are a lot of communities that are looking at their groundwater getting sapped, and they're not really happy with their friends, the local manufacturer. So if we want to all play together, we need to watch all that. So this is Gary Mintchell, Editor-in-Chief of Automation World Magazine and AutomationWorld.com and Gary Minchell's FeedForward.com, and bringing you some thoughts about automation, power, energy. And stay tuned for next week for more thoughts around automation and manufacturing.